500 people from 40 countries came together for the first Worldwide Cybersecurity Summit in Dallas last week. Here's some of the most important findings and ideas that we wanted to share right out front. First, the energy sector, the critical sector. Energy is absolutely critical. Without it, nothing else works. We all realize that. Airplanes wouldn't fly, buildings couldn't be lit. But the issue of how much the energy sector itself depends upon digital connectivity and the internet is something that was explored by top teams from around the world. And what was interesting was the understanding of just how vulnerable the whole system is. So for example, with the right abilities in cyber, one could actually, using the internet, cause an explosion in an oil refinery or an oil rig offshore or in a pipeline. We started talking about this whole issue of the probes that various nations are known to be doing of each other's essential power grid systems, for example. There was a really poignant moment when a senior American and a senior Russian said, look, we each know the other country has the ability of probing, and if they wanted to, attacking the power grid system, but why would we want to do that? How possibly, the Americans said, how possibly would we win by bringing down Russia's power system, and that which would in turn shut off the flow of oil and gas to some of our most critical allies in Europe and in Asia? It makes no sense. And this whole concept of equal harm, this whole idea that in an interdependent world we no longer can look at things the same way was a really important issue. And of course this led to a discussion of the smart grid, which is highly dependent, completely dependent upon digital connectivity. And what are the implications? Do we really have the systems built in to do it? So there was a real sense of awareness and cooperation, and a sense that energy is what you cannot talk about cybersecurity without talking about the energy sector. Transportation, similarly, there was a transportation sector, which of course was really hinged upon the idea that whether you're talking about rail or sea or air, it's all connected. If the trains don't run, the goods don't get to the ships can't move. The same thing with airplanes, you're all interconnected. And so the whole idea, and everything is digitized, all connectivity, supply chains, all. So there was a great deal of discussion about what specific things can the international community do, since this is all across boundaries, to actually make a difference in transportation. And finally, in national security, there was a lot of discussion about the need for cyber conflict policy, for rules of engagement. And there was a very, very interesting set of discussion about how do we actually begin to cross borders. And I think that one of the biggest revelations of everybody was the fact that whenever anyone's been talking about the need for cybersecurity and international cooperation for cybersecurity, they've been talking about it in a big abstract form. Let's have an agreement on cybersecurity. And one of the things that the 500 participants in Dallas all agreed to is the fact that it's absolutely impossible to have an agreement that covers all of cybersecurity. It's just too big, it's too complicated. And what we need to do is begin to divide it down into its component parts, look at the critical sectors, and take specific actions which will make us more safe.